Welcome to the interactive training session for Alias Studio. These sessions of training movies offer a two-stage approach to learning what's new in Alias Studio 13.5. These movies can be downloaded and then reviewed as required. After viewing, if you have any questions, you can join us in one of the live version of interactive training sessions. So let's begin. What's new in data transfer? Data transfer, no doubt, plays an important role in the modeling process. When translating CAD data to Alias Studio and vice versa, a smooth conversion from one to the other can make a day. What's new in 13.5 for data transfer? Showcases Direct Connect version 2. So what is Direct Connect version 2? Direct Connect version 2 is a package of multiple translators or family of translators that can read various CAD data formats. For example, IGES, DWG DXF, STEP, Pro-E, SolidWorks, and CATIA V5. Also, Direct Connect version 2 is based on brand new technology. In fact, this version 2 is implemented not only with Alias Studio, but also across other formerly Alias products, such as Maya, Image Studio, and Showcase. Other translators not mentioned here are built internally in Alias Studio and still available as before. For Direct Connect version 2 in 13.5, a number of substantial changes and improvements have been made in data transfer for IGES, DWG DXF, and CATIA V5. First, let's take a look at the new IGES importer. The new IGES importer in Direct Connect version 2 pledges to be faster and more robust. For instance, large files which took minutes to open now takes only a fraction of the time. As well, it accurately imports trimmed surfaces. Let's open an IGES sample file. File, Open, select IGES options, import file. This file has about 13.5 megabyte of data. Voila. Let's turn on the hardware shade so that you can make sure all surfaces have come through. And let's see how many trim surfaces this file contains. Let's pick all surfaces and untrim. There should be 650 trimmed surfaces. You get the idea. Furthermore, the IGES import options for 13.5 have been radically simplified as compared to 13.02. You now only need to set the shrink surface and default trim curves in either word space, IGES trim flag, or parameter space. Although the new IGES translator works via the direct connect, as you have just seen, the IGES options are still set in the Import or Open File Options window within Alias Studio. Also, there is no need to set the environment variable. The new Direct Connect overrides the previous environment variable. Before moving on, I'd like to remind you that these changes and improvements apply only to the IGES importer for now. An improved IGES exporter is in consideration for future releases. Next, the new DWG DXF importer. What's also new is the implementation of Autodesk proprietary DWG DXF importer. For the sake of simplicity, the term DWG is used from now on in this session, but the same applies to DXF as well. As with IGES, the DWG translator is available only as an importer for now. The exporter for DWG is in works and will be ready in the upcoming releases. As you probably noticed, there is no selection for DWG format in the Import File option or Open File Options window, and hence there is no options to set prior to opening. So how would you transfer a DWG file? The answer is exactly same way as Alias WIRE files. To open a DWG file, simply go to File, Open, select a file, and click Open. Alternatively, you can also drag and drop the file into the user interface. Just as a side information, the same applies for STEP, Pro-E, and SolidWorks. Simply go to File, Open, or drag and drop into the user interface. Also, to import SolidWorks 2005 and 2006. However, a licensed version of software must be installed on the same system as Alias Studio. Now, let's turn to the CATIA V5 Direct Connect changes and improvements. Major changes and improvements have been made to both import and export translators for CATIA V5. Firstly, as before, the Direct Connect version 2 for CATIA V5 requires a separate Alias license to run the translator. In fact, this is the only translator in Direct Connect version 2 which requires a license to be purchased for Alias Studio. However, it is no longer necessary the CATIA V5 from the SALT be licensed or install on the same system for the translator to work. Let's begin with the CATIA V5 Direct Connect for import. As you can see, the import selection settings have been substantially simplified for 13.5 in comparison with 13.02. There are now only 3 options to set: Auto Stitch, Import Invisible, and Import Infinite. Let me briefly explain each option. Auto Stitch is now on by default. If off, solids and open sheet bodies are imported as surfaces. If Import Invisible is checked on, invisible or non-show geometry is imported. Likewise, if Import Infinite is checked on, infinite or unbounded geometry is imported. Please also note that log file is now automatically created with each import of cat.product or cat.part. So let's import a CATIA V5 sample file. File, import. Look for the CATIA V5 options. Import. Let's unstitch the shell to surfaces for modeling. Pick the shell and unstitch. Next, to the exporter for CATIA V5. Viewing the new export UI for 13.5, I'd like to call your attention to a new feature called Keep Topology, which has been added to the CATIA V5 exporter. What does Keep Topology do? If it is on, open and closed shells are translated to skins and solids in CATIA V5. If it is off, open and closed shells are converted to independent surfaces. Default setting is on. As you can see, the selections for the export options have substantially simplified. For example, the export by layer option has been removed. As well, the join and heal options have been removed entirely and no longer need to be set. Also, the default setting for divide periodic is on in 13.5. If it is on, closed or periodic surfaces will be split in two pieces. So let's go back to Alias Studio. Let's just say we have finished modeling an object and we are about to export it to CATIA v5. What we like to do first is to stitch the object into a shell. There you go. Now using query edit function, and right mouse clicking on it, you will see a bubble window to show whether it is an open or closed shell. In this case, this is a closed shell. Now, pick the shell and go to File, Export, Active As, select CATIA v5 export option, click Save, and click on Save button. Take a look at the prompt line to see if the file has been exported successfully. For detailed information on data transfer, please refer to the Help Online docs under the same heading in Alias Studio. Lastly, to recap what has been discussed, here is once more an overview of Direct Connect version 2 in 13.5. Moving forward, Autodesk intends to continuously improve the Direct Connect to meet the needs and requirements of industrial and automotive designers. So stay tuned to what's new in the upcoming releases. Thank you for viewing the interactive training sessions movie on data transfer. If you have any questions, be sure to contact us for live version of ITS.